everyone, my name is Emma.
I'm Bridget.
And I'm Ben.
And we are your Food Corps service members in the Camden City School District. Today, we are going to talk about the sweet potato life cycle, and then we're going to do a demonstration of a really fun hands-on sweet potato activity that you can do in your classroom or at home. To refresh ourselves on what a life cycle exactly is, let's first think through the life cycle of a chicken. Ben or Bridget, do either of you know what the life cycle of the chicken is like?
I think I do.
Okay, Bridget, why don't you come up here and help me?
Okay, so I think that it starts with the egg, right?
All right.
So you've got, your little baby inside the egg there. And then after a while, after it's incubated and kind of grown in the egg, then it has to hatch first, right?
Sounds right to me.
I think that's the next step. And then once the egg cracks and hatches, then I think you get a little chick, like a young little hen. Right?
Exactly right.
Perfect. Okay, and then to get from this point here as a chick back to where you get another egg, I think it's kind of like people, like you have to grow up before you can lay another egg. So I think then you become a hen, like an adult chicken.
Look at that. You're exactly right.
Yeah? Yay!
Okay. So when we look at this, we see the arrows following around in a circle, which is why we call it a life cycle, because it moves around just like a bicycle wheel moves around and around and around again. The life cycle will do the same thing. So this will just keep going over and over and over again. And just like the chicken, the same thing happens with plants. So next we're going to talk about the life cycle of a sweet potato. Now let's talk about the life cycle of a sweet potato. Bridget, do you think you could help me for a second?
Sure.
Great. Okay, so we just talked about the life cycle of a chicken, and a chicken is obviously an animal, but plants, just like animals, have life cycles. Bridget, do you know where a plant life cycle usually begins? Like, what would be the egg equivalent in a plant life cycle?
I think a seed?
A seed, that's exactly right. So let's think of an example. Pumpkin seeds can be planted into the ground, and then a tiny little sprout will come out of the ground, and that'll grow into a big pumpkin plant. Eventually it'll have a pumpkin, and inside of that pumpkin there will be seeds. And that's how we complete the cycle. So we can take the seed out of the pumpkin, plant it back in the ground, and the cycle will begin again.
Cool.
Very cool, right? So most plants work like that, but some are a little bit different, including sweet potatoes. So let's go through how to grow a sweet potato. So we obviously know that it starts with a sweet potato, right? So Miss Bridget, could you add this to the board, please?
Sure. So we've got a sweet potato at the top here.
Okay, so then the next step in the cycle is, instead of growing from a seed, we can actually take this sweet potato, put it in a cup of water, and let it sprout from there. So we'll have sprouts coming out of the top and the sides of the sweet potato, and those are called slips.
Cool.
Miss Bridget, do you think you could put that picture up on the board?
Sure.
Great. So then the really cool part happens now. So what you can do with these slips is you can cut them right off of the sweet potato, and you can plant them in the ground. So can you put that picture up there too?
Sure.
Great. So now that we have our slips planted in the ground, they're going to start to create even bigger roots underground and start to develop into a sweet potato plant,
Cool.
which is actually the last stage of our sweet potato cycle. So if you want to put that picture up now, we can review the whole thing.
Cool.
So what happens between planting the slip and having a mature plant is obviously you can tell the leaves and the flowers above the ground are going to get much bigger. And we know that the reason that we have leaves above the ground is so that the plant can get sunlight. And as we know, all plants need sunlight to grow. And then what's happening below the ground at the same time is all of those roots are going to create sweet potatoes. And then what we can do from there is we can either take a shovel and scoop the sweet potatoes right out of the dirt, or sometimes we can just give a little tug to the whole plant and the sweet potatoes will come up, and then we have a sweet potato. And that's how we can tell that that completes our cycle. So we go from sweet potato to putting the sweet potato in a cup of water and waiting for it to sprout and grow slips. And then we go into taking a rooted slip and planting it in the ground, and then waiting until it matures into a full potato plant, and then we'll have sweet potatoes under the ground. And that's a very simple explanation of the sweet potato life cycle. Now, we are going to do a fun hands-on activity so that we can practice growing sweet potatoes on our own. Let's get started.
Thank you so much, Emma and Bridget, for teaching us about the sweet potato life cycle. Now I'm going to teach you how to grow sweet potato slips at home. So first of all, you want to grab your sweet potato and make sure that you know where the top and the bottom is. The bottom is going to be more narrow and pointy, and the top is more round. Now you can even draw a face on it for it to be your potato pet. Now the next thing you want to do is give your friends arms so that it can stand up on the cup. So you're gonna unfold your paper clips, take your potato, and give it an arm. You're gonna repeat this on both sides. Take your paper clip and give it an arm. You wanna try to have the arms out straight. Now you can put your friend in a cup, see if your friend is stable. Mine is rolling around a little bit, so we're gonna give him a tail. See how it's nice and stable now? It's not rolling around or anything. Now that we have him nice and stable, we're gonna give him some water. You want to fill it up until halfway up, right about where the arms are. You're gonna fill it up, and then you're gonna let this sit in a windowsill where he's getting lots of sunlight and warmth. In a few weeks, you'll see some plants growing out the top, some roots growing out the bottom.